The UPSC CSE arena is an ever-evolving space where staying up to date becomes as crucial as maintaining a thorough preparation. With strategic planning and holistic coverage for exam syllabus, Vision IS Delhi presents GS Foundation course. Avail analysis and integration of current affairs with GS syllabus. All India test series with an innovative assessment system, inculcating post-test analysis, discussion, All India ranking, and more. Explore the holistic learning modules intrinsically designed for the ideal aspirant.
So we intend taking 3 topics relating to governance today. There are many topics related to governance, but we will talk about the digital infrastructure, the role of a civil servant, and environmental governance. Okay? All the 3 are very relevant nowadays. So I will try to tell you the macro picture, not the nuts and bolts. You should understand the concept. In any case, the material will be given to you. You can go through that, but having been a civil servant for 37 years, I would be very happy if you want to ask any question. Please don't hesitate. That the purpose is to learn here the basic concepts. So first of all, let me ask you, what is governance? You intend becoming a public servant, all of you? First of all, tell me what is public servant. Tell me who is called a public servant. The person who? Okay. Who is appointed by the government? Appointed by the government to serve the people. Okay. Good. So, okay, correct. So, who are these people? Who are the people? What are they called? Tell me a slightly more technical word. Bureaucrat is a public servant. Who are these people which the bureaucrat serves? Citizens. So, serve the people, citizens. Second is get salary from public exchequer. What is public exchequer? If you don't know anything, please ask. Don't This is an opportunity for you to understand concepts from a civil servant who has served for almost 37 years. So, exchequer is public pays taxes which form part of public exchequer. There are other sources also, but majority comes from the taxes paid by the public. There can be international funding also, there can be many other sources, but majority of the funding comes from the taxes which are paid by the public. So a public servant is appointed by the government to serve the people, the citizen. The system of governance that we have today is in sharp contrast to the system of governance which prevailed in this country in the pre-independence era. So the system of governance which prevailed in the pre-independence era was colonial system of governance, and now it is limited. Okay, we are coming to that minimum governance. It is called as governance. So here the citizen is the focal point. All schemes, programs made by the central and the state government, they are with one single focus, that is the citizen of this country. And these programs are formulated, policies are formulated, implemented by people who are called as civil servants. So, implemented programs, policies, formulated and implemented by Is it clear? Civil servants can be generally of two types. One, the senior ones, like you are going to occupy senior positions once you get selected. They are the bureaucrats. But there is another category which is called as street level bureaucrats. Street level bureaucrats. What are street level bureaucrats? Tahsildar, Patwari, clerks, BDO, teacher in the doctor, Asha workers, Anganwadi workers, police constable. They act as at the street level. Street level means at the base level, local level. Yeah. So we have civil servants. One is called the bureaucrats, senior bureaucrats. And the second is called as street level. Over a period of time, the bureaucracy becomes bigger and bigger, larger and larger. Weber was the person who conceptualized the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy, the work starts expanding. Work starts expanding, meaning thereby If a work was being done by 10 people, so now it is handled by 20 people. So the work as such is expanding. So what happens is that it leads to maximum minimum governance, maximum government. This is what it leads to. When there are too many people doing little work, it is maximum government, minimum governance. So the government thought that we should reverse this trend. It should be minimum government, maximum governance. How will you do that? How will you do that? So improving the efficiency of those people who are carrying it out. Or in other words, taking measures for ensuring good governance. Good governance, what is good governance? Can you tell me what are the parts of good governance? What are the pillars of good governance? Okay. So good governance accountability. If you want maximum governance, you must make people accountable, means responsible for their actions. Number 2, transparency. So, there must be transparency in your actions. Look, I don't teach in a textbook style. I try to explain the concepts on a bigger scale so that you understand what exactly, how it is done. The smaller things you will be able to read from the books also. So, transparency, what is the third? The citizen-centric system of governance actually leads, we need good governance for citizen-centric. Let me the other pillars of good governance. Efficiency, okay? So it is called as efficiency and effectiveness, which is the third pillar of good governance. Rule of law. Fifth, what is consensus building? What is consensus building? Because there will be diverse opinion of different people. Someone will say, no, this is right. Someone will say, this is right. You have to ultimately bring all people together to evolve a common platform. So that is consensus building. Something which is agreeable by all the people. So consensus building is required. Otherwise you will never be able to reach any decision. Governance hogi kaise? This group of people will say this, the other group will say this, third group will say this. You have to bring them together. And that is done by involving all the entities. There are 3 entities in governance. What are they? Can we call them by some other names? There are 3 entities who carry out governance. One is the government. duly elected government. Right now the government in center is the BJP government or NDA government, you can say. You said people. Can we call people by some other name? Market, okay. We can call it market. We can also call it stakeholders. And third, those people who have wisdom in them, what are they called? Can you name by some other name? The universities, the institutions, the think tanks, what are they called? NGOs, civil society. So the governance is done by these three entities. You have to involve the stakeholders, the civil society with the government. So that is participatory. 6 is participatory. That is participation of all the three. Is it clear? Tell me if it is not clear. What is else? What else is there? Responsiveness. What is responsiveness? You see, we are slowly traveling towards maximum governance with minimum government. What is responsiveness? Answerability will be mostly in accountability. Responsiveness means so one of the very important part is grievance redressal. That whenever someone raises a point, you respond to the situation quickly. If there is a flood, you respond to the flood. If there is an earthquake, you respond to that. If there is a famine, you respond to that. If there is a grievance, you respond to that. That is responsiveness. What else? Inclusivity, correct. What is inclusivity? Okay. Apna? Acknowledge. Yeah. Inclusivity means taking all sections of society together so that everyone benefits. It's not only one community, one religion, one group of people, all the people. The scheduled caste, the scheduled tribes, the women, the children, the senior citizens, everyone. And what is the slogan given by the Prime Minister? Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. That is principle of inclusivity. So the governance is a very serious matter. It is too serious a matter to be left only to the government. And the other two entities are equally important, which must take part, that is civil society and the stakeholders. And we must aim towards good governance. While we talk about good governance, we have to keep in mind that we obtain maximum results from minimum resources. What is the term used for that? Maximum results from minimum resources. Efficiency. So this efficiency, the focus on maximum governance, minimum governance is efficiency. Okay. And citizen first approach is the citizen-centric system of governance. Is the concept clear? So essentially, if you are able to implement good governance, you will be leading towards maximum governance, minimum government. And that is the efficiency. What is the main way of improving the efficiency? It is by ensuring accountability, by ensuring transparency, by improving effectiveness, following the rule of law, through consensus building, taking all people along, inclusivity and responsiveness. So good governance principles are closely linked to the maximum governance, minimum government. Okay? For citizen-centric system of governance, we often say that there are 4 E's, which are necessary for a citizen-centric system of governance. What are the 4 E's? It is like this. One is, yeah, go tell me. No, not quite. It is the public servant must have ethos of service to the citizen. Number 2, ethics, again E. Number 3, efficiency. And 4th is equity. So these are the 4 E's which are required. So now I have told you a few things. I have told you what is good governance, what are the 4 pillars of citizen-centric administration, which is the 4 E's. I have also talked to you that we are now in a stage of citizen-centric system of governance, which is a departure from colonial system of governance, because we were a British colony in pre-1947 period. We were only looking towards the British masters. We were not caring about the citizen of this country. But after independence, the system of governance has undergone a change. And now the Prime Minister and the Minister for Personnel recently, Jitendra Prasad, he talked about maximum governance, minimum government. So many steps have been taken for that. We will discuss them one by one. And if you work for citizen-centric approach by reducing interventions and delays, how do you reduce interventions and delays? How do you reduce human interventions? How? Digitization by technology. Human intervention must be reduced by technology. And delays. So delays also by constantly accountability, monitoring. The technology helps you in avoiding delays. How? Can you give an example? How technology reduces delays? For example, e-office. E-office, so you can monitor the movement of the files by your subordinates. And you find that, oh, this file is, the person is sitting over this file for the last 5 days. So you call him, he said, you were sitting on this file. So the delays will be minimized. So technology is one thing which definitely helps in reducing delays and also improving the efficiency. There is a beautiful equation. Let me try to show it to you. How do you go back to the okay, yeah. How do you wipe it out? Yeah, it's here, I think, yeah. Close. Okay. So let's see. The role of civil servants in governance. I will give you a detailed PDF. Here is a PPT which I am showing just to make the points clear, crisp. But otherwise there is a 5-6 page PDF also. Whenever you have leisure, you can read that also. PDF आपको दूंगा मैं. You will kindly pass it on to them. So the role of civil servants in e-governance, in governance. Do you know the history of civil service in this country? Earlier we had Indian Civil Service, ICS officers. When we got independence, some sections of the politicians, the political leadership, without naming them, they were against the idea of Indian civil service continuing. They said it is a British legacy and let us not continue with Indian civil service. They wanted it to be disbanded. But Sardar Patel, who was the Home Minister, he persuaded. He said, no, we need a civil service. You may call it by another name, but it is required. Basically, it is required because of two reasons. One, the civil service acts as a bridge between one elected government and subsequent elected government. Are you understanding what I am saying? A government comes for 5 years in power, after which it may go, another government will come. So it acts as a bridge between the two. Because whatever has happened in the past, that is within the knowledge of the civil service. So the new political executive comes and then they brief the new political executive, and that is why it acts as a bridge. So the civil servants, Sardar Patel argued that it will act as a bridge between the two political governments. You know, there are two entities. One is called political executive and the other is called permanent executive. So the service for which you are aspiring is the permanent executive. Political executive comprises of prime minister, ministers, chief minister who are elected. They come for a period of 5 years. They may be re-elected, but otherwise they are come for 5. Whereas the permanent executive remains for 35 years. And therefore they have a much bigger vision. A political government may have a short-term vision, 5 years. May pass within 5 years, we will go after that. So they will have a limited vision. But the permanent executive civil service is expected to have a long-term vision. So that was the one reason which Sardar Patel argued. The second reason Sardar Patel argued was that the political executive may not have the necessary knowledge, skills or experience to run a country, whereas the civil service has experience of running the country. So they will be able to advise and guide the political executive. A new minister comes, he becomes the railway minister, he has no knowledge about what is railways. But the people down below, the secretary, the chairman railway board, they will come. They will say, these are the problem, these are the issues, this is this. So he said, the second reason is that they have experience, they have knowledge, they have skills, which may or may not be there in the political executive. The third reason why a civil servant is, the purpose for a civil servant is, it acts as a connecting point between the people and the political executive, the government and the people. A collector, for example, will act as a bridge between the people, the villagers, and the government. He'll say, sir, there is no power in this village, there is no road connectivity, there is no irrigation facilities. So the people will come to him. He say, collector Sahab, we don't have water, we don't have this. So he will convey those demands to the higher ups. So civil servant is necessary because of these reasons. He includes she. I am not trying to be patriarchal or masculine. He includes she. So the civil servant is there to guide, advise the political executive, acts as a bridge between one government and the next government, also act as a bridge between the people and the government. So the role of civil servant is ensure continuity. Continuity in government despite political changes. So on one hand, it can be Congress, the other next time government can be BJP. So it acts as a continuity. Civil servants is permanent. They don't go and come and go according to the government. They remain there. They cannot be removed. And Sardar Patel, he was a visionary. He said that the civil servant must have the necessary protection. Otherwise, they will be pressurized by the political executive to take action as per their wishes. And he said the civil servant must be protected from the excesses. It should not be possible to remove a civil servant except by due process of law, and constitutional protection is given to the civil servant in terms of Articles 312 and 311. Okay? And All India services. Which are the All India services? IAS, IPS, Forest Service. They find mention in the constitution of this country. Why they find mention in the constitution? Constitution is the biggest document in the country. Why do they find place in the constitution? Protection is given under Article 311, 312, but All India services find mention specifically in another article in constitution. Why? Clarity. The reason why All India services find mention in the constitution, because they act for the unification of the country. The country's unification and unity. The country is diverse. Different states, different religions, different communities, different kinds of people are there. So the officers belonging to the All India services, they can be posted in any state. People from Uttar Pradesh will get posted in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, Kerala posted in West Bengal. So they are appointed in the entire country, and wherever they go, they get almost absorbed in that area. So the north-south divide, that is plugged, east-west divide is plugged. They act as a solid source of unification of this country. That is why they were mentioned in the Constitution of India. Okay? So it ensures continuity. It acts as an interface between government and people. It contributes to policy formulation and implementation. Can any one of you, have you taken Polity or PSIR? Any one of you? Or you must have studied. Public policy cycle. What is a public policy cycle? There are 6 steps to the public policy cycle. Let me tell you, it is a very interesting thing. Public policy can be different types of public policy. For example, a public policy can be to protect Ganges river. What is the public policy named? Namami Gange. There can be a public policy to protect the health of women. What can be the public policy there? Okay, Matriti Yojana. Swachh Bharat, construction of toilets for the women, and Ujjwala. So, public policies are policies framed by the government for the benefit of the people. Every government, before it is elected to power, that political party, when it fights election, it brings out an election manifesto saying that this is what we will deliver to the people. And when they form the government, then they try to fulfill the demands with the promises which they had made in the election manifesto. And they are in the form of public policies. Now, public policy has got 6 steps. Let me just tell you, you don't need to remember them, but just I want to run it past you. कहीं ना कहीं आपको याद रहे कि हाँ भी ये public policy है, okay? So, presently I am trying to talk about this. So, public policy cycle. It has got 6 steps. 1. Problem identification. Yes. Then, no, before that, formulation. I will explain each point. Then, and no, policy evaluation. Let me explain this. Supposing there is a problem, the number of women, the ratio of women and men becomes disturbed. So the number of women are less, the girl child is less, and the male child is more, because there is a patriarchal society. People feel that girls are burden on their families. They will take away their wealth to another house. बेटा कंधा देने वाला है, मर जाएंगे तो बेटा जो है हमारा last rites करेगा, बेटी तो नहीं कर सकती. This kind of thing, you know. So the women child and women child, people have this, we will have to give dowry, you see, all those things. So people prefer a male child. खानदान को आगे बढ़ाने वाला, लड़की तो दूसरे खानदान में चली जाएगी. So the ratio is disturbed. So how it is disturbed? What is that thing which was disturbing this ratio? Infanticide, with the help of sonography, ultrasound machines. So the government said we have to bring out a public policy, because ultimately what will happen? You will not have sufficient girls to marry off to the boys. And this started happening in some states of this country where the number of women was less. So they had to get their sons married from another state. So therefore the government thought of Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, incentive for the girl child, taking care of the health of the girl child, nutritional program, Swachh Bharat, you see, and banning ultrasound machines through an act. So they are all parts of a public policy aimed at a desired result. Public policies must deliver a result, the outcome. So that is what the first thing is: problem identification. You identify the problem. The number of girls is less, that's a problem. In a particular place, for example, the problem can be, can you identify some problems? In Delhi, smog. So they came out with a public policy of odd even vehicles. So that was a problem. So first thing is you have to identify the problem. Then you have to do agenda setting. Agenda setting means there will be many problems which will be in the bin. बहुत है problem तो बहुत होती है. You don't have so many resources. So you have to prioritize the problems. Okay, this year we will take up these problems. So that is setting up an agenda. कि ये problems हम इस साल लेंगे. These are the problems which we will take up this year. And every problem which we take, there will be many types of solutions. There can be many ways. For example, Beti Bachao Beti Padhao was one way. Banning the ultrasound machines, that was another option. There can be many other options also. So they finding out the ways to do that, that is called as agenda setting. The problem is also identified by the civil servant, and agenda is also set by the civil servant. Then once you have decided that this is the option we have to take, then comes the policy formulation. Now you have to formulate a policy which may require amendment of laws or bringing a new law. For example, cheating in the examination, ragging in the colleges, custodial deaths taking place. A problem. You have to find a solution to that problem. So now you have to formulate a policy. So different things will be suggested in making that policy. So formulation of policy is done by the civil servant who submits it to the minister. So the secretary of the department, for example, it is consumer affairs, the consumer affairs secretary will submit it to the minister. And then the minister will take up that particular policy to the cabinet. Are you understanding what I am trying to say? Who heads the cabinet? Prime Minister. And in the state it is Chief Minister. So the minister takes that agenda. That is why it's called agenda setting. He takes that agenda to the cabinet. And then cabinet either agrees with it or disagrees with it. If the cabinet passes that, then it becomes policy formulation. You have formulated a policy. For example, you may formulate a policy that the population is increasing, So one child norm. China ने किया था one child norm. That was a policy. There can be many such kind of thing. For example, diesel driven vehicles. The policy क्या है? 10 साल से ज़्यादा पुरानी vehicles, older vehicle will not ply on the road. It's a policy. So you formulate a policy. Sometimes the policy are also induced by the judiciary. The judiciary advises the government to come out with a policy. Can you name one particular policy which was initiated, a very important policy, at the instance of the Supreme Court? There are many policies, but at least name one. Credit Response Action Plan. Vishakha Guidelines. Posh Act. So Vishakha Guidelines were brought by the Supreme Court, and then later on the government was directed to make a law on that. So normally the policies are made by the executive, that is both permanent executive and political executive. The secretary and the minister, which takes it to the cabinet headed by the prime minister. They are passed. And now the next step, this is policy formulation. The next step is policy legitimization. So legitimization means basically two things. Legitimization means forming a consensus. By taking it to the people, to the civil society, to the stakeholders before implementing it. So policy is there, but a draft policy is legitimized. And secondly, once it is legitimized, then if there is a need to make a law on that, then it is taken to the legislature. It can be the parliament, it can be the state legislature. So legitimize means forming a consensus and then forming a law. So once the law has been made, now instructions go down to the district level, every level, for implementation. It has to be implemented. So they will issue instructions that confiscate all ultrasound machines which are being used for identifying the sex of the child. Okay. So there can be, for example, pornography. A policy was made that people are resorting to pornography. So a policy be made. So you block the sites. It's policy implementation. Okay. Then comes evaluation. Evaluation is basically judging the outcome. There are three terms that we normally use. One is called input, the second is called output, and third is called outcome. For example, if 100 crores of rupees is earmarked for education, that is the input. The buildings that you construct, the books that you purchase, the furniture that you purchase, the teachers you employ in the school, that is the output. You have spent 100 crores, you got that output. But whether it translates into education or not, that is the big question. You may have books, but the teachers may be so bad that the education is very extremely inferior. The children may not be able to learn. They may not get employment. They may not respect their parents. They are not inculcated with ethics and values. So the outcome is not achieved. You have made them literate, but you have not made them educated. So the outcome means impact. What is the impact of that particular public policy? So now you have understood that this is how policy cycle goes. So we have come to the third thing: contribute to policy formulation and implementation by civil servant. Fourth, support free and fair elections For example, reforms by TN session. So carrying out free and fair election. Number 5, promote law and order. For example, there was an officer Sanjukta Parashar in Assam. So law and order is an important duty of the civil servant maintenance. What is that thing which is mostly desirable by the citizen of this country? Public order, peace. That is the most important thing. Then comes development. Sadak ho na ho, roads ho na ho, it does not matter. But agar supposing your property is not safe, your life is not safe, then people feel that the government is not delivering the services. Governance is basically delivering public services, because government has been voted by the people of this country. It is their mandate to provide public services to the people of this country. And that is done by both political executive and permanent executive. They have to move hand in hand, supporting each other. So that is the role of the civil servant. Okay? Right. So why a transformative shift is necessary? Because for maximum governance, minimum government, you need to have a transformation. The bureaucracy in this country, the civil servant in this country, they for long time, they have been called slow, not responsive, not catering to the needs of the people, red tapeism, corruption, all those things are mired, they are mired in that. So, a transformative shift is necessary because you want maximum governance, minimum government. So, you need to shift. India's transformation, there is an equation. I want you to understand that equation. What is India's transformation? There is an equation. IT is equal to IT plus IT plus IT. On the left side, I is India's transformation, T is transformation. On the right side, the first IT, what is that? Can you guess? Information technology. Which is normally information communication technology, but information. In short form, you can say information technology. Basically, it is technology. Technology brings many improvements in the governance of the country. The delays are reduced, responsibilities are fixed, the delivery is better, the corruption is minimized, discretion is reduced, transparency is improved, people's delight, the customer's delight increases. Otherwise, people don't want to visit a government office. They will say, yeah, it's better ki we put a middleman in between. Pay him some money and he will go to this, he will get my driving license or a ration card. Because people feel that the government is inefficient. And that is why you need to bring about a transformation. And transformation can be brought about by three things. Use of technology, number one. The second is infrastructure. Well, it is actually capacity building. You have to provide skills, competencies, improve the capacity. What is that important program which has been launched by the government of India to improve the competencies and skills of the public? Mission Karma Yogi. Okay. So Inspire Training Mission Karma Yogi. And the third IT is called as Inner Transformation, which talks about that the public servant attitude should be to help people, for which you require inner transformation. Because we feel once we are sitting on the other side of the fence, when we are the government servant, we don't even realize the problems which the citizen faces. It is only when we retire, then we come face to face with the reality, isn't it? So therefore, the government servant must undergo an inner transformation. Okay? So the inner transformation, it is attitudinal changes. What can be this? Empathy, compassion, helpfulness. These are inner transformation. So ultimately a transformation is necessary. Transformation shift is necessary. So because there are many challenges, bureaucratic red tape, resistance to change, lack of autonomy. So many of the bureaucrats who don't perform any work, they don't do any work. They are very honest, but they don't perform, they don't deliver. Ethics in the context of a public servant does not only mean honesty. You need to be efficient, you need to be effective, you need to perform, you need to contribute to the productivity, and you need to deliver. Why? Because you get your salary from the public exchequer, and public exchequer gets funds from the taxes which are paid by the public, and therefore you are responsible to the public. Those who do not deliver, there is a term which we use for them. They are called as treadmillers. What is a treadmiller? Treadmill, have you seen? You go to the gymnasium, there is a machine, you stand on that treadmill, start running. After 20 minutes of running, how many inches do you actually move? No inch. It is stationary running. खड़े खड़े दौड़ रहे हैं. No output is being produced. बहुत पसीना तो आ रहा है, but you are not moving an inch. Some of the officers, they simply keep on sitting on the files. They don't take decisions, and they say we are very honest. What is the point of being honest? Unless you deliver. So therefore, the red tapeism, indecision, these are the challenges which we face. Bureaucratic red tape, resistance to change, lack of autonomy. I'm reminded of a very... How many of you understand Hindi? All of you? No, you are not able to understand. Okay, but I'm sure you will be able to understand. There is a small anecdote, storytelling. It's always good to tell a story to make a point. So there was a jungle. एक जंगल था. जंगल का राजा कौन होता है? Who is the king? शेर. So शेर जंगल का राजा था. तो हर बार शेर ही जंगल का राजा बनता था. शेर ही बनता है जंगल का राजा. तो जंगल वाले ऊब गए. They got fed up. Every time only the lion is made the king. जंगल वाले ऊब गए. तो उन्होंने कहा कि कुछ बदलाव आना चाहिए, परिवर्तन आना चाहिए. Some change should come. तो कहले क्या चेंज लाए? He said राजा बदलो. Change the king. तो कहले who should be made the king? किसको बनाए? कहते उसको बनाओ जो बहुत फुर्तीला हो. Who is very agile. कहले किसको बनाए? तो बंदर को राजा बना दिया गया, because he was very agile. तो बंदर became, the monkey became the king. He started residing in the Raj Bhavan, president's house. So one day, एक बकरी उसके पास आई. बकरी मीन्स goat. A goat came to meet the king and she was weeping. रो रही थी कि महाराज मेरे मेमने को शेर ने, वही जो पहले राजा था, उसने पकड़ रखा है, पंजे के नीचे दबा रखा है, kept under the paw and is about to kill him. उसको चल के बचाओ, आप राजा हैं. तो बंदर ने कहा हाँ चलो चल के बचाते हैं तुम्हारे मेमने को. चल पड़ा. तो एक पेड़ के नीचे शेर जो था पंजे के नीचे मेमने को दबाए हुआ था. तो बकरी ने इशारा किया, देखिए शेर ने हमें मार देगा, चाइल्ड विल बी किल्ड. तो बंदर कूद के उस पेड़ पर चढ़ गया जिसके नीचे वो शेर बैठा हुआ था पंजे में दबाए हुए. और उसने जो है कूद के एक डाली पर चढ़ गया, उस डाली से कूदा दूसरी डाली पर, दूसरी से कूदा तीसरी, तीसरी से चौथी पर, चौथी से पांचवी, पांचवी से छठी पर कूदता रहा. तो बकरी और जोर जोर से रोने लगी. उसने कहा महाराज मेरे बेटे को बचाओ तो मर जाएगा, खा जाएगा तब तक. तो बंदर बोला देखो बकरी, तुम्हारा मेमना जिए या मरे, मेरी भागदौड़ में कोई कमी हो तो बताओ. सो दैट इज व्हाट सम पीपल डू, सम पब्लिक सर्वेंट. भागदौड़ तो बहुत दिखाते हैं but actually they don't deliver. These are the so-called treadmillers. So the bureaucratic change which is required is they don't want to bring their bureaucratic red tape, resistance to change. They don't want to bring change. Now political executive and permanent executive have to work in tandem. And with the passage of time, new changes are required to be made. But bureaucracy develops a resistance to change. So that transformation is necessary. And lack of autonomy. So autonomy is not given to the people down below. Every power is centralized at a higher level. So delays occur. होगी कि नहीं delay होगी? Supposing the king or the prime minister or the president or whatever it may be, he has all the powers. He can't dispose of every file. So delays will occur. If he gives autonomy, if he decentralizes, then everyone will take a decision. Decision will be taken immediately. So bureaucracy leads to concentration of power and thereby, because of delay, the lack of autonomy. Need to adapt to LPG reforms. When were they adopted? LPG? 1991. So rapid societal changes are taking place. Can you tell me some rapid societal changes which are taking place, which need to be adopted? Somehow they were not delayed, adopted very late. Give me an example. बताओ. Come on. No, societal changes. Yes, LGBT community, that is there. That was societal change. Same-sex marriage, again a societal change. So there is a resistance to the changes which are taking place. Homosexuality, again a societal change. Live-in relationship, again a societal change. So there is a resistance to change. And this is what is required. We have to move with times. And the bureaucrats, the civil servant must understand that you have to move with time. Development of new technologies, artificial intelligence, new technologies, we have to move pace. Blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, machine learning, artificial intelligence, we have to adapt. Huh? Robotics, yes, correct. So we have to adapt to the new technology. And importance of citizen participation. The same thing which I said, the governance must be done by the three entities: civil society, stakeholders. They form the bhagidari. People of India are very intelligent people. Large number of them may be illiterate, but they have the brain. So you must involve the people in decision making. And that is why the farm laws failed. Because you did not probably take the stakeholders. And that is why they had to be repealed, resigned it. Okay. So initiatives that have been taken by the government of India in this regard. We have already talked about Mission Karma Yogi. Integrated government online training, it's called IGOT platform, again under Mission Karma Yogi only. That is for providing training to the, training means capacity building. Which part of that IT equation was it? Inspire training, yeah. Sevottam model, that is for delivery of services. Seva Uttam, that was a model which was discovered by the government of India, that you must, it also includes citizen charter. Sevottam model includes citizen charter, and also ensuring that the services are delivered to the citizens in time, good quality. So that is Sevottam, Uttam Seva. And then tech-enabled e-Kranti and e-office. E-Kranti is also a program launched by the government of India that talks about public services, and e-office is to improve the efficiency in the offices. E-office, you can monitor the files, how they are moving and so on. So these are the initiatives, and let us see the improvement in quality of public service. So citizen is getting empowered through citizen charter. Redressal satisfaction, public grievance redressal is being done through CPgrams, through individual portals. Which part of good governance does it relate to? Public grievances. Responsiveness and service delivery capability by capacity enhancement. That is Mission Karma Yogi, providing them training. So that is an integrated approach to bring about an improvement in the quality of the service delivery. Governments come to power because they have to deliver the service. The aim of governance is to deliver good service. If people don't get good service, the governments will not be elected after 5 years. They will be voted out of power. Okay. So recommendation for future reforms. Specialized services and performance reviews. So performance reviews should be carried out through external monitoring, external sources, audits. You must monitor performance of the various services. It can be Manrega, it can be Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, it can be Swachh Bharat, it can be all the services, schemes, programs. Basically that is policy evaluation. So number one, specialized services and performance monitoring. Transparency and lateral entry. What is that? Bringing specialists from outside government, like private sector, into the government. At the directors level, at the joint secretary level, people are coming from businesses now. UPSC select kar rahi hai. There is some criticism also. People say that it should not be done. There is a process of selecting civil servant. Why should you bring people from outside? But the government feels that we should inject fresh blood also from private sector, because private sector is considered to be efficient. And that is why, since private sector is considered efficient, that is why the procurement options nowadays are not restricted only to the government. What is being done? That government alone does not provide services. PPP. PPP. What is PPP? Public-private partnership brings three elements. The private sector brings three things to the government. What is that? Efficiency, knowledge, skills, that is one. Efficiency, knowledge, skills, technology, this is one. Capital is number two. And one more thing. Welfare. A very important thing, which maximum profit, risk sharing. It shares the risk, because in every project there is a risk. If you have to construct a bridge, if you have to construct a power building, if you have to construct an airport, there is a risk. So the private sector shares that risk. So the capital, the technical know-how, the efficiency, performance, technology, and lastly but not the least, risk sharing. Okay. Central Civil Services Authority for Personnel Management. Basically, it is something like Central Service, Civil Services Board. Board to make recommendation regarding posting and transfer, so that the officers are not under the pressure and control of the political executive. Supreme Court also said that. ARC also said that. Who was heading the ARC too? Who was heading the ARC too? ARC is Administrative Reforms Commission, second report. Who was heading that? Chairperson. Hint? Hint? It starts with the initial VM. A very important politician of South India. VM. VM. V for victory, M for Maharashtra. Veerappa Moily. Have you heard his name? Veerappa Moily? No? He was the person who was heading that. The second Administrative Reforms Commission report runs into 15 compendiums, and the fourth compendium deals with the ethics and values. Others are also important, elections and corruption and other things. Okay. Recommendation of other committees on reforms like PC Hota committee. There is a PC Hota committee. I will not go into the details, but different committees have been constituted to bring about reforms. So PC Hota was there, BS Baswan. BS Baswan was actually, he was my course director when I was in the academy, 77. So he became the Education Secretary, Government of India, and then he was made the chairperson. Use of emerging technologies like GIS, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. So this is the recommendation for future reforms. Is it clear? So that brings me to the close of the first. Let us go to the second one. Any questions so far? I will be passing on a detailed PDF material to you, which you can go at your leisure. What is the name of the platform which takes care of the procurement of goods and services in government? Which platform which takes care of provision or procurement of goods and services? For example, you have purchased a board, computer, a light, or a camera. In government, purchases are made. It's called procurement. Huh? What is it called? The Government of India mein, the platform Government e-marketplace. It takes care of goods and services. Services क्या हो सकती हैं? Taxi service, transport service, courier service, photography service, housekeeping services. So in government, these things are done by GEM. Okay, right. Conclusion. Civil servant must continue to learn and adapt. Because otherwise, the politicians will say, oh, you don't even learn, you don't even change. The world is changing. In India, you also have to change and adapt new things. Need for citizen-centric governance. You must cater to the citizen. And collaboration across sectors, government, private, and civil society. So this is the nut and shell: maximum governance, minimum government. So let's come to the second one now.